Hello, in this video, I'll show you the difference between default parameters and REST parameters. If you're looking for the differences between these two parameters in JavaScript, this video will guide you on the differences and how to use either of them. Let's begin now. Welcome back. On this video, I'm going to cover the differences between the REST parameter and the default parameters in functions in JavaScript. Both play a similar role, which is to extend the flexibility of functions in JavaScript. On my screen here, I have an app.js file that's linked to an index.html and an instance of live server to help us test the code as we write. I'm going to begin by default parameters. Think of a function that displays hello message on our website once the visitor logs in. This would take a parameter which is a message, then it would return the message. This should be message. It's a simple function that the hello function, it takes in a single parameter and then it does a return. Then we can check and see if this works. Call the function and pass in the message. So we have defined a simple function that takes in one parameter and it returns it as a message. Expect to see this on the console, as you can see. The problem with this kind of structure is if the person calling this function or using this function does not put in the parameter, then that function does not serve its purpose. How do we make sure this parameter has a default value? In here, we can introduce an equal sign, then we introduce a string here, hello guest, as the default value. If we remove this and simply call the function without passing the parameter, it gives us hello guest as the default message. Basically, that's what a default parameter is in JavaScript. Now let's look at the REST parameter. The REST parameter allow you to represent indefinite number of arguments in a function. Suppose we have a function here. We have a function to add numbers. You can just call it sum. Then put the numbers. Then inside this function now, we have an indefinite number of arguments passed through this as an array. We can begin here by creating a variable. We say let the total be equal to 0. Then in here, we can now loop through these numbers since we have it available as an array. Let me do something here to test and see. Let's test this, we see. Then without that, we do type of, then we call the function here for it to work. And you see it's an object. Arrays, don't forget, arrays in JavaScript are always an object. This allows us to put together an array of indefinite arguments. So we can now go ahead and loop through using a for. So we can do something like const number, we abbreviate it as num, then it's const numbers of number. Then we can now update our total. So we do total plus equals number. Then down here we can return the total. We can return total. Now we can do a console log here, then pass in a number of the sum now with an array of numbers. Now we're going to pass in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go again through this. A REST parameter allows you to pass in an indefinite number of arguments to a function, and once you pass them in, you pass them in as an array. So you can loop through that array and do so much. So like we did here, we picked this as an array. As you remember, I console logged it, we saw it's an object. Then we are looping through to get whatever it's passed here. Then we are adding it to the total that we set up here, then returning the total. Then at the bottom here, we are calling the function, which is sum of these numbers, then passing in the numbers which we were not sure when we were using this REST parameter. We wanted indefinite numbers, number of arguments. We were not sure how many arguments were. Then we're just passing 1 to 5 as the numbers. Then we console log this, and there is an error here. Can't access lexical declaration of numbers. We have a problem somewhere. This should be number, not numbers. That should be number, because we are looping through it, and it gives us 15. That's how a REST parameter works in JavaScript. In this video, we've learned the differences between default and REST parameters in JavaScript. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, kindly consider giving this video a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you, and see you in the next video.